So today I was thinking about degrowth, how the concept has really taken off in sustainability circles. And while most of us agree with the premise of what it talks about, uh, even I don't quite agree with the term degrowth. And well, if the people from sustainability circles uh, don't agree with the term degrowth, then how do we even expect people who are not from the sustainability circles and people who are really bought in into the concept of sustainability, bought in into the concept of growth and more growth, which is, I guess, most of the people out there. How are they even gonna, agree if not even sustainability guys are happy with this term? Hmm. Something to think about. So why is it that I do not agree about it being agree with the term degrowth? Well, primarily because I think you are growing in value even if you stop growing in size or volume or material size. Even if you stop growing in that sense, you still grow in value. So if we take register of that value, if we recognize that value and recognize that this is the avenue for growth in value, then it stops being a detractor anymore, right? Now, a very normal, commonly used, see it in nature, see it everywhere, way of doing things is you start something, and when you start something, you add in a lot of resources because you're learning, and over time, you see that you start gaining some efficiencies around things. So you see that you don't need as many resources as you used to do the same thing, to get the same results. I think we can tap into that when we talk about the concept of degrowth with a different wording maybe, but it's about reducing your material volumes. It's about using less material. And that's something we can aim towards. We can aim towards using less material, less resources, while at the same time maintaining the same value or better value. So then the aim of any undertaking or any project becomes to decrease the material and the resources involved. By decreasing the materials and resources involved, you would be decreasing the ecological impact on the world. What you do not decrease, and what is not negotiable to decrease, is the value that you bring in into it as human beings. So, in that sense, you do not decrease the knowledge of the people in it. You do not decrease the understanding and information and the art that people have developed around that undertaking. You do not decrease these. the aim would then be to increase efficiencies. And the aim would also be to increase the experience of people in that undertaking. And I'm not talking about the financial remuneration. I'm talking about the experience that people get, the joy of doing that thing. As an example, you may be a plumber. Now, if there is really good demand for your services, then there's no reason to reduce your uh, there's no reason to stop your growth. Why do you need degrowth if there's a good demand for your services? So, however, the way to grow would be to use less resources, get better efficiencies. So you're not using as many materials, you're not expanding in materials to achieve those efficiencies. You are expanding in knowledge. You are expanding in managing the whole thing much better. And you are expanding in the joy of the people involved to undertake this service, for example, plumbing. Growth, in that sense, would be where the employees undertaking this plumbing would start enjoying themselves. And that is what you have to be careful about. You don't want to jeopardize the whole thing just to, deliver something before time, and you're really stressed, and you hate the job. You have to do it though, and that's not just the right way. It has to be in a place where people feel the joy of doing it, and that's what we should aim towards, and that's possible. It is very possible. I have seen this in all of my 20 years of experience. I've seen people enjoy their jobs regardless of what their remuneration is. I've seen people enjoy their jobs not because they're getting a lot of money out of it, sometimes, very rarely though, but because they're getting a lot of satisfaction out of it. They're getting a fair bit of money, they have a comfortable life, but they're doing their job because they love it. They love the camaraderie of their colleagues. They go to the office, they see their colleagues, and they have a great time with their colleagues. They work together. They work together towards doing things, towards achieving things. And that's amazing. Why do you want to stop that from growing? Yes, what you really want to stop is to replace that with AI, which, okay, so you're getting rid of the great emotions, great happiness that people are feeling, and then you're giving that to a computer. Well, what are you going to achieve with that? So my point being, there is growth in every job. But that growth doesn't have to be material growth. It doesn't have to be more material stuff. It can be more, oh no, not that it can be. It has to be more joy, more happiness, more knowledge and understanding of that job, and a better craft where it almost becomes like a work of art for every person who's experienced in something. That is what we should strive towards. That's possible, and that's amazing. I love it. I've seen people who love that. And yes, that's what we should strive towards. And it's so natural. That is so natural. As long as we're not pressuring people from the extreme capitalistic point of view to produce more and more and more and more and more, with a fair bit of engagement with fairly busy people, people will automatically get into that zone where they are, you know, learning more, and they've got this way of managing things, and they've got this, rhythm around working. It is beautiful. That's what we should strive towards. Let's make that little difference.